Fellas, there's a showdown contest tonight on DraftKings for the Patriots-Eagles game. So need your favorite DFS plays, and then we're going to actually look at some bets available on the DK Sportsbook as well. So first, we're going to talk about your captain's pick. So it's 1.5 times the salary and 1.5 times the points. Now remember, all players are the same salary for these preseason contests. They're all $7,600. Who are you taking as your captain, Geoff?
1.5 times, Jesse. I'm right 100% of the time. So let's roll the dice here and go with Kenneth Gainwell. Yes, I don't know what string he is on the running back depth chart, but I do know Jordan Howard probably going to play about 2 snaps tonight. They've cut Garion Johnson. Miles Sanders not slated to play. Gainwell is probably going to see a big chunk of snaps here. This is a rookie, obviously, 5th-round draft pick. Eagles want to get a look at this guy. He's been getting good reviews in camp. I expect him to play deep into this game, you know, when the Flacco starts to come out as well, so against the second and third stringers. I think you're going to get probably 70% workload here, perhaps even for Kenneth Gainwell. So there's just not much on the depth chart behind him that the Eagles are going to want to look at. Again, Sanders, pretty sure not going to play. Jordan Howard, what do you really need to see at this point? Get the Gainwell in there and get you some gains.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. All right, Garion, who are you going to captain?
Not nearly as adventurous as Geoff, but I do really like that play. I'm going to go with Mac Jones. I think you've obviously got a quarterback situation brewing in New England. Cam Newton coming out earlier this week and saying that he hasn't been assured of anything in terms of who's starting the game week 1. You know, we did see a little bit of Brian Hoyer in week 1 for the Patriots against Washington, but you know, this really does feel like it's now week 3 of the preseason, like old preseason. Week 2 is now week 3, if that makes sense, or at least that's my sort of working theory on how this new 3-week preseason is going to play out. So this could be sort of the dress rehearsal game, and I think that at the very least, Mac Jones is going to play a half of snaps. And we saw him attempt 17 passes in week 1. So I think you're just operating with a really good baseline for Mac Jones. And while the stats weren't overwhelming against Washington, he did have a long touchdown pass essentially dropped. So I think we saw that the ceiling could be a little bit higher in these contests. I think the Patriots, of the quarterbacks they have, are going to want to see Mac Jones the most. So I think he ends up getting the most snaps, and that's enough for me to make him a captain.
All right, Kenny, who's your captain?
I'm going to go with the guy that we all forgot about. His name is Sony Michel. He's $7,600 in the flex, and in the captain spot, he's going to be 11.4K. Now, this is a guy that's fighting for a spot, really. I mean, he had only 6 carries for 26 yards in the first preseason game, and it's really difficult to figure out who is going to play what percentage of snaps, but this is a guy with everything to play for here. I just think that they might give him a little bit more fair of a shot in this game because, look, Damian Harris was fantastic last year for the Patriots. They really have no reason to have Michel take the ball for them in the regular season. So I think that they'll try to give him a little bit of a shot here to see if he can win this position battle. And I think that this is, again, we don't really know what the coaching staff's going to do 100% of the time, but we do know that he should be playing in this game. And I think that he'll have a lot to run for. So I'm going to fire him up here against an Eagles defense that I guess is pretty lackluster, looking at the performances they've had last year and in the preseason. So I think I'm going to fire him up, yeah.
All right, Garion, who are you stacking with your captain, Mac Jones?
So I think Jones is going to be, if not the most popular captain's pick, one of the most popular captain's picks. You know, he's just a name that's been on the tip of the tongue of a lot of NFL fans so far this offseason. So you have to differentiate yourself with how you stack around Mac Jones. And I think one guy who I can say with a lot of confidence is going to be a variance play is N'Keal Harry. I mean, all we saw after that first Patriot preseason game on Twitter was, 1 catch for 4 yards. N'Keal Harry's in midseason form. People love to hate this guy, and I understand it. He's been an underwhelming first-round pick. But the fact of the matter is, he played 61% of their offensive snaps against Washington. That is a huge chunk of action in a preseason game, and sort of building off the narrative that Kenny was talking about, you've got certain guys on both these teams who have fallen out of favor. This is maybe their last chance to make an impression on the coaching staff, and they're going to get an opportunity to do that. So if I can just pencil in another 60% snap share for Harry, I think he automatically becomes one of the best receiver plays on this entire slate.
All right, Kenny, who are you stacking with Sony Michel?
I'm actually going to go the other way with the Philadelphia Eagle at $7,600, and his name is Quez Watkins. He was a sixth-round pick in 2020. I know all these names that Jeff, we've all been naming these random guys that no one knows, right? But Quez Watkins, he's been a star in training camp for the Eagles. He had a 79-yard touchdown last week. I'm firing him up here when you consider, again, positional battles with the Eagles. Jalen Hurts, he had his favorite receivers last year, but really this is an open competition to see who is going to emerge. There isn't a whole lot of talent besides Devontae Smith on this team, and I think that Quez Watkins could be a guy that perhaps earns a roster spot, maybe even on special teams. Maybe he's the Jaden Mickens of this year, a guy that's 6th or 7th on the depth chart, really speedy kick returner that maybe he figures out a way to get into the rotation with some injuries. I think that he's got a little bit of talent. There's a reason why he went in the NFL draft. And after last week, I think that you have to at least just add him speculatively into your lineup.
I love Kenny reminding us that your pick is $7,600. As a reminder, they're all $7,600 except for your captain. Jeff, who are you stacking with Kenneth Gainwell?
It's for
$7,600.
He's going to be $7,600. Let's just clear that up. That's how much you're paying for this guy.
And it's like I like saying $7,600.
No, I get it. I just think it's
fun.
It's funny, but I like it.
I was tempted to go with Jalen Reagor here, but I just don't trust Jalen Reagor, and it is the Patriots. They're probably going to be rolling out some of their starters in the secondary. I think that, for a stack with, if I've got Gainwell in my captain spot, I think you've got to just put Hurts in your flex, Jalen Hurts. To me, he looked really good in his first outing. I know he's only 3 for 7, but he had a couple drops. But again, this is like Garion alluded to, this is the real dress rehearsal. Jalen Hurts is going to be running a little bit in this game, I think, because he's going to be wanting to end this game with a touchdown. So if that means that, the guys are all covered, he's probably going to take off. And again, I think you put Hurts in your lineup with Gainwell, you've got a really good shot at just getting exposure to all the Eagles' touchdowns. And if they do happen to break this game open just a touch, maybe end up winning, then you're probably going to be on the right side as well. So for me, it would be Hurts in the captain spot, but a couple of those Eagles receivers are interesting. I know Kenny talked about Quez Watkins as well. So for me, you got to put Hurts in there somewhere, but I would put him in the flex over Gainwell just because of the fact I think Gainwell is going to see a lot more field.
All right, guys, now let's move on over to the DK Sportsbook. So the Patriots won their first preseason game over the Washington football team. Meanwhile, the Eagles fell to the Steelers in their first contest. So New England is on the road, but favored by just 1 point. So, Kenny, what do we think? Do you see the Patriots winning the game?
I think so. I mean, look, anytime you can make Dwayne Haskins look like a really good quarterback, there's something wrong with your defense. And again, we're talking about the 2s and 3s here, but the Eagles' preseason defense, the pre-season Eagles or whatever you want to call them, they didn't look too good against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Pre-Eagles. There you go. I don't think that – is that a starting quarterback for the Cowboys last year? I don't think that this is going to be a really fun game for the Eagles defense, especially considering the offensive talent that New England can still run out despite, not really running out every single one of their starters. And when you look at the quarterbacks as well, Mac Jones, even Brian Hoyer really as the third stringer is pretty good. Joe Flacco did flash a little bit of brilliance last week, but I think that the talent factor should swing this towards the Patriots. They're deserving favorites. And when you look at the defensive battle, I think that they win it pretty easily. So I would say the Eagles, I'm willing to take them as the favorites. And the lines have actually been pretty sharp in the preseason so far.
Jeff, what do we think? Do you see the Patriots winning this game?
Yeah, I actually really like this bet. And I'm not like someone who tries to get overexcited about preseason bets. But, I mean, you've got Bill Belichick going up against a rookie head coach. And maybe that, I know it's preseason. You're like, what is this guy talking about, coaching matchups? But it really does come down to it. You've got Bill Belichick, who's done this a million times. He knows that, he gets his team up for these games. Just when you're playing for Bill Belichick, you play hard, because if you don't, then the next practice, you're not there. You don't have a job anymore. So the Patriots tend to just really do pretty well in these preseason situations. And Kenny alluded to the depth chart here. You basically got Hoyer as the third string versus Flacco as the second string. I think that matchup washes out, quite frankly, but you're going to see Flacco for over half the game for the Eagles, whereas the Patriots, they're going to be rolling Mac Jones, Cam Newton. The depth on the defense is also something you could bring up. The depth at running back for the Patriots, as we saw with Stevenson in their first game. Everything here points to the Patriots. I'm actually surprised they're not favored by a field goal or something.
Garion, what do you think? You like the Pats to win?
I think so. I mean, it's funny because usually I will take a look at the quarterback depth chart in a preseason game and try to figure out who has the advantage. Generally, just from like a veteran savvy perspective. Just like, is a team rolling out like a 6th round pick as their backup quarterback that's going to get, 2/3 of the snaps, or do we have some actual NFL talent on both of these rosters? And it's kind of funny. These are maybe two of the like deeper quarterback rooms in the entire NFL, because we've mentioned a lot of names, but like Nick Mullins, who's started and been sort of successful at the NFL level, is the 3rd string quarterback for the Eagles right now. Like, there is always going to be a quarterback in the game that has been either a success at the NFL level at some point, or is a highly touted rookie quarterback in the form of Mac Jones. So I do think Jeff's right. I think that's all kind of a wash. So at the end of the day, I think you have to go with who just has overall more talent on their roster. And if we do think that week 2 is the new week 3, and this is the dress rehearsal game, and the Patriots play a majority of their starters for a majority of this game, or at least most of the first half, you kind of have to side with the Patriots.
And guys, producer Slate's in my ear telling me that FYI, the Eagles defense has been allegedly owning the Patriots offense in joint practices this week. So just something to keep in mind.
Practice? Talking about practice here?
Yeah, I mean,
Practice games and practice sessions.
Aaron Rodgers shook Zach Wilson's hand in practice, so that's what I took out of the joint practices.
well, I'm just saying what I'm saying. I said what I said. All right, the game total is set at 37.5 for this one. So far during the preseason, unders have hit 14 times in 17 games. This line's already moved down half a point from 38 to 37.5. So Jeff, are you just going with the under tonight?
No, actually. I feel like there's a distinct shift here. I mean, from week 1 to week 2. The starters all take this a little bit more seriously. You've got guys playing for jobs, and you look at ththese two depth charts. Garion just alluded to it. We're actually getting like pretty good quarterback play. We've got some pretty deep running back play as well. Actually, there's not like high-end receivers here, but the depth chart isn't bad as well. I like the over in this spot. I think you will see those unders not hit as much at the very least, perhaps closer to a 50%. It might even flip in the other direction, but I think you take advantage of the low total here. It's probably a bit of a reaction to week 1. I like the over, at least in this game, not in the other games. I haven't analyzed all those, but this one specifically with the QB depth chart, give me the over.
Okay, Gary and Jeff's going with the over. Where are you going?
Yeah, I agree with everything he said. I think it's a different animal week 2 versus week 1, just more playing time for the starters, more playing time for the better offensive players. Maybe we're seeing a little bit more of the playbook in this game. And again, there's always going to be at least a semi-competent quarterback on the field for both these teams at all times. So this game in particular, I would take the over.
Kenny, where are we going?
I don't want to agree with these guys. My whole job here is to disagree and get people mad, right? But no, I do think that the over hits. This is a game with competent quarterback play. When you look at the quarterbacks around the preseason, you mentioned all those unders. I mean, there are some really bad players getting time at quarterback. You have very competent running back, Sony Michel behind Damian Harris. Both of those guys should play in this game. Cam Newton as well, fighting for a lot of quarterbacks fighting for jobs. Even Joe Flacco, you get the sense that he believes he could win that job from Jalen Hurts, considering people aren't really as high on Jalen Hurts as I thought they were, especially the Eagles. But yeah, I think that, the Eagles defense has been pretty bad. The Steelers defense the Patriots defense let up 13 points last game. So I do think that this is a game that could certainly see a lot of points, and I like the over.
All right. Slate approved pick time. Let's lock it in. What is your favorite DFS play or bet tonight, Garion?
Let's just roll with it. Let's just go with N'Keal Harry to have the greatest game of his career and sneak his way onto this 53-man roster or someone else's practice squad. Harry's going to do it tonight at probably a relatively low ownership. All
right, Kenny, Slate approved.
Jalen Reagor, you could guess how much money he cost. He came into camp. He was failed a conditioning test, and there was a lot of bad storylines about him. He's got a lot to prove here. Taken before Justin Jefferson. I think he's going to have a big game. Continue to have a big preseason. I think he's going to get the ball a few times. I like Jalen Reagor.
Jeff, what do we think? Slate approved.
Get your gains with Kenneth Gainwell tonight. I'm telling you, he's going to play a lot. He looks pretty good. Coaches like him, etc. Why not? It's preseason. YOLO.